Okay, welcome. We're going to move through Vinyasa practice today. So, find your way to a comfortable seat. Now, you might like to use really whatever you've got at home. So it might be a cushion, might be a rolled up towel or a blanket if you've got a yoga block. Awesome, you might like to sit on that. If you're comfortable and you can feel both sit bones grounding into the ground as you are, that's absolutely fine. So, set yourself up on the block. Find a nice long spine. And then just a few seconds to move in any way you need to move. For me, I like a little bit of side body length and a little bit of twisting, just to kind of loosen up the spine before I sit still. And once you've found a comfortable seated position, it feels like you've got a nice long spine. Just notice where the head is. Try and anchor the head atop the skull. Sense of the shoulders rolling back. And maybe you close down the eyes or give a soft gaze towards the floor. And just a few breaths to kick it off. So in through the nose, sigh out the mouth. And then settle into the breath that moves in and out the nose. Looking for a sense of evenness now, so even length of inhale and exhale. Or what we call our summer vritti. Okay, from there, try and keep that breath flowing in that same manner throughout the practice. And come off of the seat and forward to a tabletop position. From your tabletop, check in to see if the wrists are nicely anchored under the shoulders and the knees are set up nicely under the hips. And we'll just take a little bit of movement here. So just gently rocking forward and back. Bringing a little bit of awareness into the wrists. And then maybe you ease side to side. And if you need to reposition the hands just a little. Right now I've got my index fingers pointing straight ahead. Sometimes I like to have it slightly turned out so the index finger is pointing more out towards the top corner of the mat. And so the webbing between index and thumb is pointing straight ahead. It's a nice place today, so I'm going to settle into there and then see if you can press down through base of index, base of thumb. And even think about all of the other knuckles anchoring into the mat and even the center of the palm of the hand. From there we'll move through some cat-cow. Start with cow pose, dropping the belly, finding the spinal extension. Sternum moves forward and up. Collarbones broaden, shoulder blades lightly draw towards each other. Chest forward, length through the neck, maybe the gaze is down so that you don't crank into a shortened neck. A sense of moving forward through the crown of the head. The tilt in the pelvis shines the sitting bones up towards the ceiling. And then we'll take it to cat pose, press the mat away, round and dome. Broaden the space between the shoulder blades broadening it up towards the ceiling. Toning through the low belly. And then moving through. Sense of rhythm, movement with breath. And then a little bit of freedom of movement. Maybe you swing the hips from side to side, get a little bit more creative with the movement, feel articulation through the spine from side to side, almost like a spiraling action, drawing in and out and up and back. And just one more breath. And then walk the hands a little further forward, sink the hips back towards a child's pose. Now I'm going to go knees wide, big toes touching to sink into extended child's pose and get a bit more length through the arms. If If you prefer to go knees together, particularly if you're supporting a little bit of tightness, tenderness in the low back, go for that. And then we'll add a little bit of side body stretch. So left hand walks over to the left, right hand follows. You might stay here. This might be a nice stretch sensation through that right side body, anchoring right hip towards right heel. If you'd like a little more, maybe a slight twist, slide the left hand down towards the left knee, and you might gaze to the left. And then gently back through center. Moment in center, reach, extend, maybe fingertips. And then take it to the other side. Right hand walks to the right, left hand follows. Sending left hip towards left heel. And then maybe sliding right hand towards right knee and adding a little bit of that twist. Gazing to your right. Nice, take a breath. And then gently make your way back through center. Find center, find extension. Length through the arms. And then draw yourself up to tuck the toes. Anchor down through the hands as you press and lift the hips up to find your downward facing dog. Find a sense of pedaling with the feet. And pressing the head back. And taking it towards the thighs. And then settling into a little bit of stillness here. Pressing down through the hands. A sense of broadening the heels apart from each other. And can you get a light sense of broadening through the sit bones? And then gently start to walk the hands to the feet, walking yourself to a standing forward fold at the back of the mat. And think about pressing down through ball of big toe, ball of little toe, center of the heel, and slowly curl up to stand, all the while pressing the feet apart, allowing the head to hang heavy but bringing tone to the belly. Start to pick up the shoulders, roll them down the back. Take the arms wide and reach up. And then exhale, draw the hands down through heart center. Reset here, shuffle the feet. Bring them to around about hip distance. And then a little bend in the knees. Take the hands around behind you, interlace the fingers and open out through the chest. Finding a lift through the sternum, lifting forwards and up. A sense of standing spinal extension. And then options from here as you take a little bend in the knees, start to fold over the legs. Send the hands back. Maybe the hands start to draw forward to overhead. Just be mindful. You might have a little bend in the elbows. Tone the belly. And a sense of pressing the heels apart from each other once again. And then slowly bring the hands to low back and slide them forward to the shins. Flat back position, hands to shins. And bend the knees enough to plant the hands and walk your hands forward until you find a high plank position. Press the mat away, a sense of doming through the upper back, nice tone through the low belly, and then draw forwards and down, lower to the belly. Press down through the tops of the feet, find baby cobra, hover the hands, draw the shoulders back, draw the elbows in towards the side body, press into the outer edge of the feet and lift the knees. Length forward through the crown of the head. Try not to gaze ahead. Keep the gaze down. The neck stays nice and long, toned and active. And then slide the hands back. 2 options from here. Press into hands and knees. And find tabletop and maybe cow pose if that feels good. Or slide the hands back to pretty much under the elbows. Press into hands and feet and lift upward facing dog. Roll over the toes, up and back with the hips, downward facing dog. And this time, rising onto the toes, walking the feet forward to meet the hands. Maybe a hop, maybe a step. Fold over the legs. Curl up to stand. Nice big reach. Feel free to take it all the way to the tip toes if that feels good. And then hands come through heart center. Settle the breath. 1 breath here. Full inhale. Smooth, controlled exhale. Around again as we reach the arms on the inhale. Tippy toes if you wish. Hands draw through the midline. Little bend in the knees, send the hips back. And fold over the legs, standing forward fold. Slide hands to shins, find that flat back position. Bend the knees enough to plant the hands and step the feet back, this time to high plank position. Press the mat away around and dome through the upper back. Energy forward through the crown of the head, shoulders forward of the wrists. Lower, maybe you hold chaturanga position or come all the way to the mat. And then it might be baby cobra, or it might be pressing into hands and feet and lifting for upward facing dog. And then using that transition, maybe through tabletop position again. And we'll meet downward facing dog. Settle the breath. And then top of the mat, rise onto the toes, walk or step or even hop. Find your fold. Settle over the legs. Tone through the feet, so pressing down. Ball of big toe, ball of little toe, center of heel. Try and lift all 10 toes. Pressing the feet apart, curl up to stand. Maybe rise onto the toes. And then hands through heart center. Full breath here. And then if you do have a block, reach down, take hold of the block. You're going to squeeze the block between the thighs. Now, this setting serves me, nice and wide, nice and thick. But if your hips are a little wider, this one might work better. This gives me a nice amount of squeeze. And then use a bend in the knees. Send the hips back, so bottom back. Front of the hip points kind of tip forward a little. Make sure there's tone through the low belly and a sense of length through the low back, not necessarily flat, but nice and active. And then arms might reach forward. They might come to heart center, or they might stay on the hips, particularly if you're still working on that awareness of pelvic tilt. And then really squeeze the block. And if you don't have a block, you might choose something else to squeeze between the thighs, or just imagine you're doing it. Squeezing in, at the same time pulling apart. Can you find tone through outer edge of the hip as well? One more breath. And then refold over the legs. Take the block out, place it to the side. And then a flat back halfway lift position. Bend the knees enough to plant the hands, and you might step straight back to downward facing dog this time. And if you'd like to take it through a round of flow, just step it to high plank, and once again, chaturanga, up dog, down dog, or any other variation of flow that you're working with today. Feel free to continue to use that baby cobra throughout. Maybe you even use the tabletop, cow pose transition. Just go with what works. Beautiful. From here, we'll start a round of flow by reaching the right leg high. Take a bend in the knee, stack and open the hip, scorpion dog. And then a little bit of movement from here. So you might just move so that leg's moving around through the hip socket. And then right knee draws towards right elbow, tap and hover. Inhale, reach up and back. Knee to nose this time. Plant the foot between the hands. Stay low. Shuffle the left hand forward, reach the right arm up and open. So in this nice low crescent twist position. Full deep breath. Nice controlled exhales. Squeeze the knees in towards the midline. Make sure you're up on those back toes and you haven't rolled onto the blade edge or inside. And then top arm starts to track back, down, and through, rise up. Find that crescent lunge position. Bring the hands in towards heart center, anchor the thumbs to the sternum, and gently rotate over that front right knee. From there, open the arms out. Maybe. You might take it a little further. You might stay here, taking that back hand down towards the back leg, that front arm up towards the ceiling. Maybe the gaze goes down. Might feel better to keep the gaze forward and not rotate as far. Beautiful. One more breath. And then arms rotate forward and up. Fold forward over the legs, frame the foot and step back. Downward facing dog. Maybe a round of flow, high plank to low or the mat. Up dog or that baby cobra. Down dog. Beautiful. Full breath here. And then let's take it to the other side. Left leg lifts. Bend through the knee. Stack and open the hip. And then just take a little bit of movement, moving that leg around in the hip socket. Creating a little bit of space. Maybe you move in one direction, then the other. And then take the knee through. Tap left elbow, hover for a moment. Inhale, reach up and back. And then knee to nose. Create space. Think cat pose, pressing the mat away. And then plant the foot between the hands. Stay up on the back toes, stay nice and low. Right hand goes a little further forward, so it's forward of the shoulder joint, reach up and open. Nice full breath. And then this top hand tracks back and down, forward through and up. Fine crescent lunge, nice full breath. If you haven't quite landed in the sweet spot, adjust the feet as you need to. And then hands draw to heart center, thumbs anchor to the sternum. Start to rotate to the left. Only going as far as you can still keep stability, integrity in the shape. Try not to crank or force. And then open the arms from there. Take it back into that slightly deeper twist, reversing the shape as you reach the front arm up and the back arm down the leg. One more breath. Back hand hovers off the back leg. Sweep that arm through and up, nice full inhale. Exhale as you frame the foot. Step back, maybe a round of flow, high plank to low. Up dog to down dog. Or you might take it straight to down dog. Settle the breath. Three breaths here. Option 4, child's pose. If you want to take a moment, come off of the wrists. And you might just hold in down dog for those 3 breaths. Readjust that microphone and then we'll set up for another round of flow. Now the block might be handy here, so make sure it's near top of the mat and we'll take it back to down dog. Inhale, reach the right leg high, find that bend in the knee and find scorpion dog. And then maybe wild thing. So wild thing options. Option 1, if you know where you're going, come onto the blade edge of the back foot, bring yourself over, lift the hips. Yeah. Option 2, if you prefer, bringing that left knee down, open it out to the side and bring yourself into the slightly more supportive wild thing. Keep you connected to your breath, a little bit less intensity on the wrists, a little bit less in the back bend. And bring the top arm back. Re-square yourself to three-legged dog from wherever you are. And then go knee to nose once again. Step that right foot through between the hands. Nice full breath. We'll start in the same way. Left hand shuffles a little further forward. Right arm reaches up. Find that twist. Nice. And this time, top hand's going to come forward and down and plant on the inside line. This is where you might like to introduce the block. And as you do so, spiral onto the back heel, peel up and open, and you're in this version of side angle pose. If you don't have a block or you prefer supported side angle, come up to bring the forearm onto the thigh. And then this top hand might be more supportive on the hip. Might like a little bit more extension, reaching it forward. Take the variation that serves you. Beautiful. Then we'll rise up to reverse warrior, anchor through the feet, reach up. Nice full breath. Sink into that front knee. Make sure it's not dropping into the midline. Keep a sense of it tracking through the center of the foot, slightly to the pinky toe side. And then draw into a straighter front leg. Bring the hands to the hips. There's a moment to shorten the stance. Reach and extend as we take Trikonasana. Find a little bit more length forward, but up at the same time. Bring this front hand down the inside line, and this back arm reach up to the ceiling. Nice full breath here. And then top hand comes down to the hip. Bottom hand comes onto the knee. Little bend in the knee, and we'll take this bent knee balance, so a variation of half moon. A little step in with the back foot. You might shuffle and move that block out of the way so that it's not obscuring the view. But bring that hand to bring the weight forward, so the knee tracks forward over the front toes. And then maybe you play with a little bit of balance, lifting that back foot. Stay in the bent knee. Think Utkatasana as far as how much bend there is in the knee. And maybe you float this back foot to hip height. Maybe you keep it low so there's a sense of balance. Try and open the hips. Maybe you reach the top arm. Maybe you float the bottom hand, but be in those little wobbles. Maybe the hand comes to the block if that's more supportive and you've got one. And one more breath here. If you fall out, just come on back in. And then slow control, bend in the knee, bring the back foot back down, and reach into a reverse triangle. Top arm reaching up and tall. And then a nice windmill of the arms down to frame the foot. Maybe around a flow. Maybe simply back to down dog, that's where I'm going. A few breaths to settle in. If you're moving through your flow, take your variation. And then we'll take the second side. So lifting left leg high, that bend in the knee. Maybe you stay scorpion dog, or your variation of wild thing, knee down, or blade edge of the foot. Coming on over. Find that place where you lift the hips, open the chest. Explore the spinal extension here, the lift of the sternum. And then with control, bring it back. Draw knee towards the nose. Plant the left foot between the hands. Right hand shuffles forward again. left arm reaches up for that twist. And then with control, top arm reaches forward and down. Use the block or the floor, placing that left hand on the inside of the left foot, peeling up and open with the right arm, reaching for the ceiling, your variation of side angle, which again might be forearm to the thigh. If you like a little bit more reach, a little bit more length, sweep the arm through and reach for the front of the room. Nice full breath. Ground down through the feet. Use that power of grounding down to rise up into reverse warrior. Nice full breath. And then straighten into the front leg, hands to hips. Shorten the stance a little. And then set yourself a Trikonasana. Notice if you tend to lock out that knee, particularly if you're a hyperextender. Keep some tone through the leg. Lift. Little reach forward. Find length through both sides. Press down through the back foot a little more as you come into the shape. That front arm anchors to the inside line of the front leg. Top arm reaches up. Full breath. Beautiful. Bottom hand comes to the knee. So you bend into it, top hand to the hip. And then we'll come into our bent knee balance once again. So leaning the weight in, stepping the back foot in a little. Start to let the knee track to almost over the toes, maybe even well past the toes, depending on your flexibility, stability, and mobility. Maybe top arm reaches, maybe bottom hand floats. Be in those wobbles. You might lift the heel, you might flex that floating foot to keep a sense of activity and stability there. One more breath here. And then control the transition back. Back foot down. Ground down through both feet. Front arm up. Reverse Trikonasana. And then windmill arms forward and down. Frame the foot. And maybe simply straight to down dog or child's pose. Or another round of flow. Chaturanga or to the floor. Maybe that baby cobra or up dog. And then downward facing dog. And let's all meet. Knees down. Child's pose. Let it settle. Bring yourself back up to down dog if you're not there already. And a little transition to a seat so we can come to the back. So your transition might simply be coming down to the knees and shuffling, or you might take this little cross of the legs and sit back. Or if you're feeling adventurous today, you want to turn that into a little hop, anchor down into the hands, jump into that cross-legged position, and sit back. And then come on down to reclined. And we'll take a number 4 or figure 4 stretch, starting with the right foot on left thigh. Gently press right knee away, flex right foot, so toes towards shin, and then start to bring left knee in. A little bit of activation, 2 opposing forces here. And then reach the hands around for back of thigh or front of shin if that's available. And keep pressing right knee away. A few breaths here, nice and active. And then we'll take this into a twist from here. So you might just release the hands, keep the legs exactly as they are. And then take the arms out wide, T-shape to stabilize. And then just simply take the legs, keeping them in the cross, over to the left. If that doesn't quite work for you, that version of twist, feel free to
Come back, untangle, modify, and twist in any other way that serves. 2 breaths here. See if you can feel the breath coming into the back body, like you're breathing into the twist, into that middle spine, that thoracic area. And then gently transition back through center. Maybe a little moment just rocking the knees from side to side, or any kind of shake or full body stretch. And then we'll take it into second side. Left foot over right thigh. Try and make sure that ankle bone goes past the thigh. And push left knee away. Flex left foot, toes towards shins. Start to slowly draw right knee in towards you, even creating a little bit of resistance as you press that left knee away. Hands around back of thigh, maybe front of shin. A few breaths here. And you maintain those 2 opposing forces, the drawing in and the pressing away, with a sense of activation and toning into the stretch. And then use that controlled transition into the twist, just releasing the arms. Maybe that T-shape supports your transition, and then just take everything over to the right. I like to come to a place where my foot's flat on the floor, and then press that left knee a little bit further towards the front of the mat from there. But again, just go with what works for you. If you need to untangle the legs and take a different variation of twist, feel free. Nice, and then with control, draw yourself back through center. Maybe knees to chest, little rock side to side, maybe legs extend up to the ceiling for a little bit of a shake out. Or maybe you like a full body stretch. And if there's any other final movements that you'd like to move through, feel free. Make it your practice, and then when you're ready to settle in, we'll find this shape, the shape of savasana. And this assimilation and relaxation shape. And if for some reason today lying on your back doesn't feel relaxing, maybe you'd like to bring the feet to flat on the floor, neutralize the low back a little more. Maybe you'd like to even roll onto one side or the belly and take your final relaxation there. Otherwise, we'll just let things settle. Become aware of the body and the parts of the body that are connected to the mat, to the floor, to the surface beneath you. Allow those parts of the body to become a little heavier. There's a sense of relinquishing control of the breath as you let things settle. Relinquishing any gripping that might still exist, even the light toning in the muscles that was there throughout the practice. Can you let that settle and release? And we'll take about a minute or so here in stillness. If you have longer, feel free to stay longer. And if you notice the mind drifting away, try and keep the attention fixed on the breath, not controlling the breath, and making sure the face is soft. And one of the hardest parts of practicing at home can be giving yourself the time for shavasana. So start to add a little bit of movement now. And when you're ready, we'll come up and seal off the practice from a seated position. Again, if you would like to stay longer, feel free. Thank you so much for choosing to practice with me at home today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And namaste.